Welcome to another episode of the Black Excellence Club podcast. My name is Sakudini and I am the host, and I am on a journey from unknown to unforgettable. And today I have a very special guest with me, my good friend Kelon.
Yeah, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? How's life?
Everything good. Keeping busy. Can't complain.
I'm gonna take these off. It just feels weird. So introduce yourself. Tell us about who you are.
I'm Kelon Phillips. I've been doing poetry and photography for quite some time now. Yeah, been good.
Okay, so let's give them a backstory. I met you from Word of Life camp, pretty much, growing up as teenagers, pretty much. So we grew up going to the same summer camp, basically. Yeah. I remember you always doing poetry, like posting your poetry on Facebook and whatnot. So what interests you in poetry? Like what is your passion behind poetry?
It started back in middle school. I had a teacher, for the first time in English class, made me do what they called a poetry cafe. And when it came to academic writing, I was never it wasn't fun for me. Mm-hmm. But when it came to creative writing, give me 10 minutes and I'll write you a whole poem. And I just kept going and going and going from there. And I think my first poetry contest, I had won first prize. I think that's what boosted my passion for poetry.
Okay.
So yeah.
All right, that's dope. What would you say is one of your favorite poems that you've written, if you can remember?
Jeez. I think it was one, let's see if I can remember the title of it. I had written, it was called My Prayer, God's Answer. Okay. So I was writing from a perspective of how God would answer somebody if you were to come back on the questions that you asked him. Okay. So I had written, the first part of my verse was my prayer, asking, please help me, I'll take my life to the next place. Mm-hmm. And then it was just what I almost had to put, it sounds weird saying this, but to write that second bit, I almost had to put myself in that perspective, what would he say if he was answering back to me? Mm-hmm. But I was a bit hesitant to put it out, just because I didn't know how people would take it. You can't be putting yourself in somebody else's shoes like
You're
that.
Right.
What are you doing? So, yeah, it was good. I think people really saw how a story could be explained from another perspective.
Okay. So what would you say, how did people take that poem being put out? You released it, you put it out, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what was the response that you got back from it, that you can remember?
I think it was more good than bad.
Okay.
You know how Bermuda is, so it's everybody's Christian. You can't be doing that. But yeah. It was good. All my friends from school, even friends back home, were wow, the way you wrote that was really eye-opening. Mm-hmm. A lot of them related to it as well. Even some of the questions I was asking within it were speaking to myself. Mm-hmm. But everybody found it relatable.
Okay. Yeah. That's nice. It's always good to be, with anything you do, is I feel like if it doesn't relate to someone, they won't understand. But once they relate to it, they feel it and they understand it, and then they gravitate towards you as a person as well.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's pretty cool. So, and now you do photography.
Yeah.
So what's the correlation between poetry and photography?
Photography, honestly, I feel like it came out of nowhere.
Okay.
Because I had actually started wanting to do film. Mm-hmm. I went to uni for film and left 6 months, and I was no, this isn't it. But that whole time there, I didn't have a camera, and I think me having my own personal camera would have helped.
Okay. But with the film aspect, you mean?
With the film aspect.
Okay.
Because from poetry, I was always interested in writing script. So I had thought of stories and, this would be sick. But because I'm such a perfectionist, I always thought I could do it on my own. Mm-hmm. And film is not a one-man team. Right. So I said, okay, well, in the same way poetry can convey a story, let me try it with photography. Because I always thought photography is not just about taking a good picture of somebody. I think what matters, when it comes to portraits at least, for me, what matters in the background matters just as much as who's in the picture. So,
Okay. So that's where
that's
photography
good.
came from.
And it just came out of nowhere. I remember, I think it was 2018, I want to say. I just got there, I was like, I want a camera. I want a camera. I kept begging my parents, that. I was like, they're like, no, we just wait it out and see. And I was like, no, I'm going to save them and get a camera. And then 2019 came, I had started doing self-portraits. And then COVID came on. And I was kind of just like, I have my camera, but I can't use it. And then 2021 was the year that I just went crazy into photography, like going to all the meetups, seeing how I could edit, and it just took off from there. I don't know, it just,
right. Would you say you started, like you say you was doing the self-portraits, would you say you started doing the editing then? Or not as much?
The basic editing, just learning like lighting and, basic editing.
Okay.
And then I think toward the end of my self-portraits, I started messing with double exposures.
Right, because that's when you started doing, like, I can't remember, like your body, but it was something else in
right, two images combined.
Yeah. So how did you learn how to do that?
Just watching tutorials on YouTube.
Okay.
Just immerse myself in that. I would go out, take a photo, no matter how stupid the photo looked, at least I had something to work with. Learn how to crop, so to crop in for the photo to make sure it looked good, and then just add in whatever. The tricky part came when deciding what image would work with the shot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's interesting, because those photos always come out looking really dope. And then you have your poetry underneath as a commentary. And it's
most times I didn't even know what the poem was going to be.
Okay.
So that's how I would do. I would go out, take a photo, come back, look at a bunch of other different photos, and then, I see what works, like how I'm standing, or how this piece within the photo would look within this photo, and then I would develop a story based on the edit. And I'll just go from there. Yeah.
All right, that's pretty cool. I have some questions here. Let me just look at them.
All right.
Do you think, I'm not sure if I asked this already, do you think poetry has a correlation to photography?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's all boils down to the narrative of the story, of what you're trying to create. Poetry, I think, I wouldn't say it's easier, but because I've been doing it since I was young, it just comes like second nature to me.
Right.
So when it comes to adding it to the photo, I can just put something there. Sometimes I would look at something, I'll see like a tunnel or something, and in my head I'll just think of like a couple of lines and just see where I can go with it. And then I think the picture also helps with that.
Okay.
Say taking a portrait or whatever, and then just going from there.
Okay. Dope. You literally just said something and it sparked the thought, and I completely forgot.
Yeah, that happened.
You literally just said something. What is the importance of pursuing creative passions to you?
To me, sounds so cliche, but knowing why you want to do it and where it comes from.
So knowing your why.
Basically.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just my why was just having something out there to relate to. Like even if it, because I think it started back in my poetry, was always like inspirational, motivational, something in there. Like even though I'm telling like two different sides of a story, there's always a motivational bit, and with that, those two sides, one side could be like a negative side, or from the beginning of where you started, and then just taking it from there. Yeah.
Okay.
I haven't sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. I haven't written as much lately.
Okay.
I have been writing, But in a way, I feel like yes, people pay attention to the poetry, but it's also taking the time to read it, right? And whereas with the photography, I put a picture out there, you see what you get is what you see,
right?
So it's like when they see a photo, they're like, oh, right there, they got it, they understood the message. And I feel like in today's time, nobody's really trying to read a whole paragraph.
That is true.
And it's kind of like, I don't diminishing maybe is a strong of a word, but it's like sometimes it'll take me hours to think of a line or two, just so I can connect the rest of the poem. Like I already have like 4 bars written out.
Right.
I'm like, no, I just need that connection in between. So, yeah. Actually, geez, I need to start writing some more.
Yes, man. I used to enjoy reading your poems.
Everybody's
posted one in a while.
I did a couple of short ones when I was back home in December. Okay. But I think the one that really sell the story ones where it's like, so I had one where I had written this called what's it called? I can't remember. Anyway, but it'll come back to me.
No problem. That's all good. Where did your why come from?
Where does it come from?
Yeah, what do you feel inspired your why? If that makes sense.
I think from growing up, I think I've always had a story to be told. And it's not coming from a place where like, most people can take it as bragging. But, I mean, a lot of people have heard it, like the whole birth story and, so being like born months early. Not many people survive from a thing like that. And even though like it goes way back to birth, I don't remember it, but the stories that I've been told, just a good upbringing, like,
So you was born early?
Yes, 4 months.
4 months early?
Yeah.
Okay, I think my nephew's around 3 months early, so similar thing, like
and
in the NICU and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So even like knowing that I survived something like that, that's not just something to take lightly, So I feel like from that, I've always had a creative way of just expressing. I mean, when I was younger, I used to be quite academic, getting awards. And I think the creative switch just came in naturally. I can't say when, but it just
came in.
I always felt like that. Like I pick up photography when I was young. Poetry came the same way. Even with music, like
yes, because you play piano.
Right.
Yes, I remember that now.
Yeah, I used to play like when I was in school. When I was younger, and then I had quit. I walked out on my piano teacher. I was like, nah. And then I just tried again when I was a teenager, just self-taught. So I think it all comes down to just finding what you like and sticking it out until you really can learn something from it.
So do you still play piano now?
Yeah.
Do you play any other instruments?
No, just piano.
Okay.
And so my thing has always been trying to figure out how I can combine the three. Okay. And what I like about it, I thought about this the other day, it's like, it just came randomly, and it was like all the things that I like doing. How it began with like a P. You have photography, you have poetry, then you have piano. And it was just like...
And your last name starts with a P.
Yeah, Phillips. So it's just like, it's weird.
It just all comes together.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you said that, because it's interesting how things come together like that. I don't have the same story or anything like that, but that's definitely interesting. That everything that you do starts with a P, basically.
Yeah.
That's really dope, right? And it's also owning who you are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Owning exactly who you are.
Right.
Yeah. You have anything else you want to discuss that we haven't spoken about?
I want to ask you something about, do you remember back where the life came when they used to make it do the skits?
Bruh. Yes. Facebook memories, bro. Facebook memories.
Oh my god.
It's the best and the worst thing, because Those things have been all summer. Those things have been popping up. We did some very good skits off the fly as teenagers.
Like what? Yeah, like you had a day to think about it, but it really weren't like a day. You're like,
it was more like a few hours to figure something out, right?
Exactly.
And it's just like, I remember one, I don't know what I think it was on a roller coaster.
Right.
It was like one of those 4D roller coasters, like, you know how you have the different things. So we was sitting on this bench, and it's like I think 6%, so it was like 6 of us sitting on this bench. Right. So the person in the front's leading it, so okay, we're going up, so we're all leaning back. And then all of a sudden, someone on the side, there's water, so we get hit. It's with water. Then next thing you know, we got hit by powder, you got hit by something else. Like,
what is this?
That's the most memorable skit that I can remember from
I think that was from the year like 4G World or something like that. Where they had like the theme.
Yeah, that one. That's the most memorable skit that I can think of from camp.
Yeah. Well, I even used to take like the music from camp and like try to play it on piano. Because I knew, like, growing up in a Christian household, I knew if I was gonna learn some songs, it was gonna be like those type of songs.
Right.
And they actually like helped me go a long way. You know. I remember my nana used to say, like, just don't stop playing. Like, that thing hasn't been played in years. And I go in the back, and I'm like, just hear the keys playing. Even that too, like, just having family around, supportive of your creative passions as well. It goes such a long way. Like,
most definitely. Supportive family always pushes you, and I think supportive friends push you a little further if you don't have that family aspect. So if you don't have one, you should have the other.
Right.
Some people are blessed to have both.
Yeah.
Speaking of camp songs, do you remember A Friend Like You?
That was like.
That's the most recent one that popped up on my Facebook.
Can you find it on YouTube? No.
I don't know. Somehow I got the song because apparently, because when I was looking at the comments, everyone's like, "How did you get this song? Where did you find this song?" I don't know where I found it, but I found it and I had photos. I think it's on my phone. I have to show it to you because I screenshotted the picture of you. I was like, "I say yes, bro."
I've been trying to learn that song for ages.
Yeah, that song, like,
I don't know, it's just so smooth, like.
That's.
I can remember too. Remember the first day of camp, everybody shows up again at the pavilion, and everybody's sitting murmuring the words. Like, nobody's really trying to sing. And by the last day of camp,
everybody's shouting those words. I know every single word. I don't even need to look at the thing in the background no more. But yeah, camp days. I miss camp days. I really feel like Word of Life should have an adults camp. Just for people.
Would it work though?
Yes, because they own the island now, so it's not like they're renting it or anything, right? So they own the island. Just have it doesn't even have to be like a full week or something. Just like a throwback.
3-day thing or something.
Yeah, just like a throwback for people that were in. I shouldn't say like people that went consecutively, years consecutively, not people that just came once and then never came back. Nah, people that grew friendships from the camp. Right. I think they should definitely do something. Yeah. Because that would be.
I think you could only do like 2 weeks, though,
Yes, because it was a 3-week camp. So people that don't know what Word Life is a Christian camp. Basically, you go on an island for a week. Your parents get rid of you for a week, basically. And it's a Christian-based camp. So you had Bible studies, you had prayer sessions, different things like that. And you had a lot of games, and the food, I think, was the best part of the camp. And yeah, games and
free time too.
And free time, yes, because that's when we did tubing, cliff jumping, all the different type of stuff.
What was your favorite game? Mine was flashlight tag at night with the big spotlight.
I think capture the flag?
Yes.
When you have to cross the enemy lines basically to try and get theirs and bring it back. Right. Yeah, that one. That's another nighttime game. When it comes to a daytime game, I would say kickball with the slip and slide.
Ooh.
Yeah. That's the favorite one. Man.
Tubing had to be my go-to for free time.
Yes, tubing.
Oh my gosh.
I think I still haven't done tubing since.
Jeez.
Because it's you have to know someone with a boat first, right? And then you have to know someone that has a tube, right? And then you gotta provide gas money too. So it's like, as an adult, it's just like, man, this is expensive. But we were just so blessed as kids to be able to just go and do this for fun. And then the challenges that we had, like during the free time or during lunch or whatnot, those were epic.
Oh yeah, I remember coming in with my little Rubik's Cube trying to
trying to see if someone could beat you. I can't even think of any challenge. I think I mostly did tubing challenges because I knew I could hold on for dear life. I weren't coming off the tube. Right. So I think those are the challenges that I basically won. But yeah, Word of Life, man, it's definitely a big part of my life as to where I am now, I feel. Because it forces you out of your comfort zone. As me, as someone that's very shy, not outgoing, not at all. You know me, I'm very in my shell type thing. Right. So it created that friend group, but it helped me to create new friends.
Positive friend group too.
Yes, a positive friend group, most definitely. And it's helped me where I am now. Because from that, because I was like, oh, I'm going to be a missionary. That changed very fast. Like once I became an adult, I'm not going to lie. Right. But at the same time, it also showed me that my passion is helping people or just helping in general. So when you look at my full-time job as an EMT, I'm literally helping people. I'm saving lives. Yeah. Even though I'm trying to transition out into the podcast, I'm still helping people. I'm just not physically helping. I'm still helping in a way. Right. So yeah, that's what definitely what Word of Life has showed me is that's what my passion is. Right. Is helping others. So yeah. Yeah,
that's good. I think it definitely helped sparking like people's creative interest too.
Right. Yeah, most definitely. Anything else that we haven't discussed?
You didn't discover me yet. Trying to think, I think we got through everything.
Yeah, I think so. So wait, before we go, what's next for you? And actually, you know what? I'm not even going to do that. So I have a few questions that I ask everyone that's on the podcast. I'm just going to go through those because the question that I was going to ask you is basically in here. What advice would you give to 18-year-old you about what you're doing now?
Just start somewhere.
Just
photography, get a camera and go out and shoot. Even, I remember, anything you start out in, it's going to be terrible. You know, I remember when I first got my camera going out to do, and I think, if you want to do portrait work, start out with self-portraits. Okay. Because if you want anybody to see how you look stupid, it's going to be you, right?
True that.
And then from that, you can work on your angles, see how you look in the frame. So whenever you do, I want to go out and shoot. And then always, like, I would say, keep an eye out for, like, what's in the background of your photo. Because I've seen people take such good pictures. But the background just ain't adding up, or the frame. And I'm like, if you just moves over this way just a bit, you know? So, yeah.
Yes, definitely. I did I've done a few photography classes and videography classes. And that's like the number one thing they said. Yes, know where your subject is, but also be aware of what's behind them.
Yes.
Because the last thing you want is someone, just like, it's the perfect shot, but then you got that one person and you can't move them.
So annoying.
But then again, with technology, you can kind of erase them, but still, just be very conscious of your background. Yeah. Just as much as you are about the subject. Yeah. What advice would you give to our listeners? Actually, do you consider yourself an entrepreneur? Or creative, mostly?
Creative.
Okay. So, what advice would you give our listeners on being a creative?
Figure out a way to first love what you're doing, but figure out a way to monetize your passions, which I'm still trying to figure out.
Me too.
You know, I think for me, I think with that comes a bit of self creative control taken away. You know,
because you mean with monetizing?
With monetizing, it's just. I've had people come and ask me like, oh, do you think I can edit it this way? I'm like, yeah, just tell me what you want edited, right? But then it's like, they get so specific. Where it's like, so anytime I edit a shot like that, double exposure, for me, I like to have a certain shot, like blank slate of like how the person is standing. And then from that, I can create what I want to create. But I've had people say, oh no, let me stand this way. You know, how about we stand over here? And that's another thing too, when it comes to like models and like photographers. They're like, oh, take a picture of me over here. I want to stand this way. And then I'm like, okay, I get you want that. But the way I'm seeing it through camera, it doesn't look good, right? And I feel like I get you want a good picture. I'm a photographer. I'm not gonna I don't plan on taking bad pictures. Right. But just let me guide you, and then I'll show you what we're working with, right? I've had people jump like, you know what, I don't even feel like shooting anymore, and then I'm gonna sit there and just, you know what I'm talking about.
That's funny. What's next for you and Kelon Phillips Photography? That's your name of your business, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's make sure I said it right.
I think for now, just keep going with what I'm doing. Figure out a way to elevate and monetize those edits, and I want to get into studio photography a bit more.
Okay.
Event photography. But I think the main thing is figuring out how to combine all my passions together. You know, and I think a lot of it is time consuming, you know, especially with work and all that. You know?
Right. So when you say monetize, that means in taking photos of people or the post and editing, or both?
Both.
Okay.
Right.
So it's more so booking clients.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then them having a specific edit of what they want done, and then I can go from there.
And you would say you're more of a portrait photographer?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
I've tried other things, and it's just
portraits is what
my
you're
go-to,
best at.
yeah.
Okay. So if you're listening, and if you're in, what area are you in? Because I know you're not based in London.
Essex.
Chelmsford,
Essex.
Okay, so if you're in that area, make sure you shoot Kelon a DM and get some portraits taken. What would you say to your future self 5 years from now? So you're speaking to yourself 5 years from now, but you're right here. What's some advice you'll give yourself?
That's a deep one.
Want me to do it for me first? I can do it for me first. So for right now, I could say you have well done, first off. You have successfully traveled for your podcast for the very first time.
Yeah, congratulations on that.
So that's what I would say to myself right now. Congratulations, it's the first of many, and 5 years from now you'll be in a bigger studio.
That's good. I would say don't worry too much about where you're at now. You'll get to where you're gonna get to.
Nice.
And I think for a lot of creatives, when they're in the thick of it, creating what they're creating, sometimes it always seems like, oh, even now, these past 2 months, I haven't put out much lately. And I couldn't tell, I had to ask myself, I was like, am I in a creative burnout? Cause sometimes, I just don't feel like shooting, or some of the people I've hit up to shoot with haven't responded. And so it kind of brings you down. And so, but with that, okay, if I don't do photography for a couple of months, well, now I'm more focused on my poetry, right? And I'm playing piano in my free time, so there's always something to fall back on.
Right.
And I think if you're getting into a passion, if that passion leads you to another passion, take that opportunity. So, yeah, I think if I were to talk to myself 5 years from now, I'd say just keep on going.
Keep going. It's interesting that you said that, because I started out doing photography, and then I did videography. It's I want to do my own YouTube channel, so I did my YouTube channel. I was editing myself, and now I'm just nah, I don't feel like editing no more. I know how to do it, but I just really don't wish to do it. And same thing when it comes to the podcast. I can edit my podcast, but I'm choosing not to. But now it's also coming to the point to whereas, well, it sounds like you're gonna have to start editing again, because you ain't got the money to keep paying someone else. So until the podcast is monetized, I can't really keep paying for someone else to do it. So now it's going back to the drawing board and learning how to edit all over again. Software is different. Everything's it's changing. So
do you say you have a certain way of editing when it comes to how you want to put out your videos?
For
when you wanted to edit or when you were editing? I'm only asking because if you have somebody else editing, do you find it difficult to convey how you want to get your video?
I mean, it's never gonna be how I would do it, right? That's something that you just have to accept. At the same time, I feel like I'm getting better at self-recording, so that way there are less issues. because I think that's what it all comes down to. Not necessarily the editing; it comes down to the recording. Because if you record a horrible shot and you want it to look this specific way, it's not going to look that way because you didn't record it properly.
Exactly.
So when it comes to that, it's just like, nah, I'm okay with it because I know how I recorded it. And then again, I'm just got this person editing like a backlog of videos. Okay. So at this point, it's like these are recorded in 2021. I haven't looked at this footage in a while, but I know I need to put it out because I'm not just gonna put stuff out like 2023, and you haven't seen me from 2021, like you know, because my whole point on my YouTube is the journey from where I was to where I'm going. So it has to be like kind of in order. So when it comes to that, I'm okay with someone else doing it because it's like, okay, this is like a year and a half ago. I can't sit here and complain, oh, you didn't do this, probably you didn't do this, you didn't do that. My main concern is that it looks okay. My my @ is there so they can find me on social media, and the audio is fine. Like, because I can't take a little bit of messed up audio like that.
I think it all goes back to like just start somewhere, you know. Yeah. Like 5 years from now, you be in a whole studio, you know. Exactly.
I'll have a full-time editor, like, you know. I won't have to worry about that. They would know the editing style type thing. So, so when it comes to that, I'm not really stressing it right now.
But how did you get your slogan? Was it from unforgettable to unknown to unforgettable?
Start unknown, finish unforgettable. Yeah. Honestly, I got it from a book. I was reading this book. I can't remember the name of the book. And it said something along that line. And I'm just like, it just really stuck. I highlighted it. And then I just kept thinking about it, and it just like...
Just hit you like a
truck.
It
just kept coming back. I'm just like, start unknown, finish unforgettable.
It rings too.
Yeah, because it's like, I'm unknown right now. My podcast is still is low level, as some would say, right? Low budget. It's not a big production. So at the end of the day, I'm on a journey from unknown to unforgettable. So right now I'm still unknown. I'm still working as an unknown, and then eventually I'll be unforgettable. But what the unforgettable looks like, that I don't know. Right. So and I'm okay with not knowing what unforgettable looks like for me. But I just know that I'm leaving an impact on the world one way or another. Because like I said, my passion is helping people, helping others.
Yeah. And so what was once unknown will become unforgettable.
Exactly. So, and that's why I'm very keen on documenting my journey, because I also notice like a lot of people that you see that are quote unquote successful, you never really see where they came from, and I don't want that to ever be a question with throughout my journey. So I want to leave it to whereas if anyone ever has a question, oh well, where did you start? Like, cause you're a millionaire now. It's like, well, I wasn't always a millionaire. Like, you know what I mean? And I can prove it to you. Like you can go and just look at it versus asking questions, like having to come to me and ask questions. Like, nah, just go watch this and you'll see my entire journey up until where I am now, and you'll continue to see it. Like, and at the same time, it's for like your family at the end of the day, right? Yeah. Something happens to you, they always got something they can watch of you. They can always see the struggles that you went through and how you got to where you were.
You gotta think about it like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's so you gotta think about it now, because tomorrow is not promised. I think that is being proven every day now, that tomorrow is not promised. So take every day as if it should last, basically. All right, last question for you. Where do you see yourself and Kelon Phillips photography in 5 years' time? So where do you see your business 5 years' time? Do you see yourself full-time, still doing it on the side?
I would like to say full-time.
So you don't like you are going to be full-time in 5 years?
I thought about, like, if I had the opportunity to go full-time, would I? And I've always said yes. But then I see some full-time photographers and I'm like, packed in clients, editing. I'm like, the whole load, you know. So if I thought about maybe getting a team, even doing tutorials to show people how I edit, and then with that, gather a team with people who know how to edit, and then just working from that way. Okay. But again, it comes back to the creative control. I like to know that what is being posted is my work, right? So I think I wanted to do something like a whole production company. People say production companies are only for like film, but I think it for anything creative.
Nah, that's photography. Yeah, anything.
So my thing would, I want to set up a thing called Poetic Productions, which is, it was originally for my poetry.
Right.
And I kind of put a hold on that because I didn't know where I was going with the photography.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I thought of a bunch of different names. So I'm still trying to work out like what I want to do is like a whole rebranding type thing where I have a name and then go legit. And then figure it out from there.
Yeah, that's. I mean, it's nothing wrong with that. What was I gonna say? You said something about other photographers always being busy and whatnot. It also depends on your clientele.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to work that way.
Right.
In any sort of creative profession, you don't have to always work. You can have some big contracts and be like, and chill, like, you know.
Yeah.
So I think, just to go back on what you said, like, it also depends on your target market, your clientele and stuff like that. Yeah. All right. Any questions for me?
I think I asked them all.
Okay. And just tell our listeners where they can find you.
You can find me at Kelon Phillips Photos. That's KelonPhillips Photos. And then you can find me on there.
That's on Instagram?
On Instagram.
Okay. All right, Kelon, thank you very much for coming through to the Black
problem.
Accents Club podcast. And again, I am your host, Sakudini, and I am on a journey from unknown to unforgettable.